everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lessons. In these lessons, we're going to read a story together, and then we're going to look at important words and English structures. So, let's get started. Today's story is Jake and Mary. Jake is 56 years old. He lives in New Jersey. He has a little supermarket. The supermarket is between the post office and a small clothes shop. He has white hair and blue eyes. His wife's name is Mary. They have been married for 25 years. Mary is 52 years old. She is a nurse in a private hospital. The hospital is close to Jake's supermarket. She has long, brown hair and brown eyes. They go to work together. Jake drives the car. Jake and Mary live in an old white house. The house has 3 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. They also have a lovely garden. Mary loves to work in the garden. She has beautiful flowers. They have 2 children. Their names are Jane and Brad. Jane is 22 years old. She goes to university in New York City. She studies sociology. She comes to visit her family every month. Brad is 18 years old. He goes to high school. He loves playing basketball. Jake and Mary also have a dog. Her name is Sugar. Sugar lives in the garden. She is 8 years old. They have a happy family life. Now that we've read our story, let's have a look at some important words to remember. The first word is supermarket. A supermarket is a place where we can buy our groceries like milk, bread, eggs, or cleaning supplies. Our second word is nurse. A nurse is a person who takes care of sick people, especially in hospitals. They work with doctors. Our third word is garden. A garden is the place behind a house where flowers and grass grow. People like to relax there. The next word is university. A university is a place we go for a higher education level. At university, students study for degrees and do academic research. Our last word to remember is sociology. It is the study of human society or social problems. We can study sociology at university. Now that we've had a look at our words to remember, let's have a look at our structures to remember. Look at this first sentence. He has a little supermarket. We use has or have to show ownership. This means something belongs to us. The supermarket belongs to Jake. Jake and Mary live in an old white house. Jake and Mary are 2 people. That means it's plural. So my verb live does not have an S at the end. If it was only one person, we would say lives. She comes to visit her family every month. This is an example of a simple present tense sentence. We use simple present tense for habits, scientific facts, and routines. Another sign of routine is every month. He loves playing basketball. When we have a general situation, we usually follow love, like, hate, and prefer with a gerund. A gerund is a verb with an ing ending. They have a happy family life. Happy is an adjective, and it is describing their family life. Their family life is happy. That is our first story about Jake and Mary. See you in the next lesson. Hello everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we're going to read a story together and then look at some important words and English structures. Let's get started. Today's story is I am a waiter. My name is Jane Taylor. I am 29 years old. I work at a Spanish restaurant. Its name is El Toro. El Toro is the best Spanish restaurant in New York City. This is my third year in this restaurant as a waiter. I go to the restaurant every morning at 6 o'clock. I open the restaurant and set the tables. The other waiters arrive at 7 o'clock. They tidy the kitchen. The first customers come in at about 8 o'clock. I take a break at 10 o'clock. I drink a cup of coffee and eat a cookie. I go back to work 15 minutes later. We have kind customers. Some foreign customers do not know English. This can be hard sometimes. I have a lunch break at 12 o'clock. Workers have a special menu. The food is really good. After 30 minutes, I go back to work again. I finish work at 2 o'clock. I do not work on Sundays, but I work 2 hours more on Saturdays. Saturdays are the most crowded days at the restaurant. The price is not bad, but the tips are really good. I get tired sometimes, but I still love my job and my workmates. Now that we've read our story, I Am a Waiter, about Jane Taylor, let's have a look at some words to remember. Spanish restaurant. A restaurant is a place where people pay money to sit and eat meals. In a Spanish restaurant, the meals are from Spanish culture. Waiter. A waiter is a person who brings people their food at the restaurant. A waiter can also be called a server. Set the table. This is a verb. It means preparing the table with the things that are needed for a meal, like forks, spoons, and napkins. Tidy. Tidy is a verb, and it means to arrange or clean something. So, if the other waiters tidy the kitchen, it means they arrange or clean the kitchen. Tips. Tips are money we give to waiters as a reward for good service. It's a way to say thank you for a good job. We have finished our words to remember. Now let's look at our structures to remember. I go to the restaurant every morning at 6 o'clock. This is a simple present tense sentence. I do not add s or ing endings to my verb go. Every morning shows that this is my routine. I drink a cup of coffee. A is an article. A is the same as one. In this sentence, a is showing us that Jane drinks 1 cup of coffee. Some foreign customers do not know English. Foreign customers is plural. Therefore, I do not add an s ending to my verb do. I do not work on Sundays. Remember, we can shorten do not and make it don't. So, my sentence can also be I don't work on Sundays. We have completed our reading about Jane Taylor, I am a waiter. See you in the next lesson. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we are going to read a story together and then talk about the important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Michael's Life. This is Michael. He is 12 years old. He goes to elementary school. He has got short, dark hair, brown eyes, and a dark complexion. Michael lives in New York City with his family. His father is an English teacher at a high school. His mother is a lawyer. Michael has got an older sister. Her name is Mary. She is 16 years old. She goes to high school. Michael does not have a brother. He loves basketball. He wants to be a professional basketball player. He likes school a lot. He goes every day from 9 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. His favorite classes are English and mathematics. In his free time, Michael loves playing video games. He also enjoys watching TV. His favorite TV show is Rick and Morty. He also likes playing board games with his friends. He has close friends from his neighborhood and also from his school. He spends time with his family. He goes on a picnic with his family every weekend. He also visits his grandparents every month. We just completed the story Michael's Life about Michael. Now, let's have a look at some words to remember. Elementary school. Elementary school is the same as primary school. It's a school for children for the first 6 or 8 grades. Complexion. Complexion means the color and appearance of someone's skin, especially on their face. Lawyer. A lawyer is someone who practices or studies law. Another word for lawyer is attorney. Neighborhood. A neighborhood is a particular area or place that has a community of people who live there inside a city or town. Grandparents. Grandparents are the parents of our mother or father. So, grandparents are Michael's parents, mother and father. We can also use grandmother and grandfather to talk about grandparents. Now that we've had a look at our words to remember, let's look at structures to remember. His father is an English teacher. His mother is a lawyer. A and an are articles that we use to show one. Remember, we use an before words that start with a vowel or that sound like a vowel. For other words, meaning consonants, we use a. Michael does not have a brother. The sentence is negative. To make it negative, we added does not. Because we added does not, our have verb does not change. In a positive sentence, it would be Michael has a brother. He wants to be a professional basketball player. When we have the verbs want, need, or require in a sentence, the next verb after it is in infinitive form. Here we have want and next we have be in infinitive form, which is to be. His favorite classes are English and mathematics. Classes is plural. There is more than one class, so I use are in my sentence. If it was just one class, then we would say his favorite class is English. He also likes playing board games with his friends. When I have the verb like, enjoy, love, or hate followed by another verb, my second verb is usually a gerund. This means it is in ing ending form. We have completed our lesson for today, Michael's Life. See you in the next lesson. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important words and English structures. So, let's get started. Today's story is Jim's daily routine. Jim lives in Los Angeles, California. He lives with his family in a modern house. He is 12 years old and he has got an older sister, Emma, and a younger brother, Eric. He starts his day at about 7:30. He gets up, goes to the bathroom, brushes his teeth, and gets dressed. Then he has breakfast, and at 7:45, he leaves home and rides a bike to school. Classes begin at 8:30. He usually has lunch at the school canteen at 12:30. After school, at 5:15, he goes home. He does his school homework. At 7:30, the family dines together. Jim is a very helpful boy. He helps his mother at home. He usually watches TV after dinner. He brushes his teeth at about 10 o'clock. After, he goes to bed. His parents always kiss him goodnight. Jim is a very happy child. We just read our story about Jim's daily routine. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. Modern. Modern means something is closer to recent or current times. It is not old. So Jim's house is not old, it is modern. Lunch. Lunch is a meal we eat in the middle of the day between breakfast and dinner. Canteen. A canteen is like a restaurant inside of a school that is for the students. We can also use cafeteria or lunchroom instead of canteen. Dine. Dine is a verb. It means to eat dinner. So, we can also say the family eats dinner together. Helpful. Helpful is an adjective, and it means giving or ready to give help. So, Jim is giving or ready to give help. Now we have completed our words to remember. Let's take a look at our structures to remember. He gets up, goes to the bathroom, brushes his teeth, and gets dressed. This sentence speaks about Jim's daily routine. To speak about daily routine, habits, or scientific facts, we use simple present tense, like in this sentence. At 7:45, he leaves home. In English, when we are saying the time, we always use the at preposition of time for specific times. Like in this sentence, 7:45 is specific. He usually watches TV after dinner. After is a preposition, and it shows us an event following another one. So, Jim eats dinner and then he watches TV. He has got an older sister, Emma, and a younger brother, Eric. Older and younger are comparative adjectives. They show two things in comparison. So, Jim is not as old as Emma, and Jim is not as young as Eric in comparison. Now we have finished our structures to remember about our story, Jim's Daily Routine. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone. Welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we are going to read a story together and look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Edith the Nurse. This is Edith. Edith is tall and thin. She has brown, long hair. She is a nurse. She works at a hospital. She looks after ill people. She is a nice and helpful person. Patients love her. She gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning. She takes a shower and puts on her clothes. She eats breakfast at 6:30. At 7 o'clock, she takes a bus and goes to the hospital. Edith starts work at 8 o'clock. She cleans the rooms in the hospital. Then she helps the doctors. She has a talk with patients. At 12 o'clock, she has lunch. She starts to work again at 1 o'clock. She listens to patients' problems. She talks with their families and helps them. Then she helps the doctors again. She finishes her work at 4 o'clock. She spends time with her friends after work. She goes home at 6 o'clock. She cooks dinner. She has dinner at 7:30 in the evening. Then she watches TV and reads a book. At 10:30 o'clock, she goes to bed. Now that we've read our story about Edith the nurse, let's have a look at some words to remember. Thin. Thin is the same as slim or slender. It means Edith does not have a lot of flesh on her body. Ill. Ill is the same as sick or unwell. It is an adjective we use to describe suffering from illness or disease. So, Edith looks after ill people, people who have an illness or a disease. Patient. A patient is a person who gets medical help at a hospital or clinic. clean. Clean in the story is used as a verb. It means to remove dirt or stains. Cook. Cook is a verb and it means to prepare or make food. Now that we've had a look at our words to remember, let's have a look at some structures to remember. She is a nurse. This is an example of a basic singular structure sentence. We can see the noun plus is plus noun structure. At 7 o'clock, she takes a bus. We use the at preposition when we are telling time specifically, like at 7 o'clock, at 10 o'clock. She helps the doctors. This is a simple present tense sentence. When we use he, she, or it, the verb has an S ending. Here, my verb help has an S because of the subject, she. She listens to patients' problems. The verb listen is often followed by the preposition to. So, we can say she listens to patients, and we can also say I listen to music. And that's the end of our story about Edith the nurse. See you in the next lesson. Hello everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Love of Nature. My name is Amber. I love to walk on the mountain. I wake up really early and go for a short walk on the mountain. I usually go with my father or my big brother. We like to get some fresh air on the mountain. We live in the countryside. This countryside is far away from the city. I love my life in the countryside, and I think life is wonderful here. We are far away from the noise and pollution of the city. We often walk for an hour. Then we return to our home. We become hungry after the walk. We have a nice breakfast. My lovely mother prepares it for us. I always take a bus at about 8 o'clock. Then I arrive at school at 9 o'clock. My father goes to work with his car. He works at a veterinary clinic. He loves to help animals. He sometimes helps animals in the forest too. We have 2 dogs and a cat in our home. On weekends, we wake up early and go for a hike on the mountain again. My mother joins us too. I love to smell the fresh air and see the wild animals. We stay there for about 3 hours and bring our lunch with us. As you can see, my whole family loves nature a lot. We have read our story, Love of Nature, about Amber and her family. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. Mountain. A mountain is a large, pointed piece of land that rises above the surface. Mountains are often made of soil and rock. Countryside. Countryside is the land or scenery around a rural area. Countryside areas are usually not close to cities. Pollution. Pollution is harmful or poisonous things present in our environment. Examples of pollution are plastic bottles in the ocean, smoke from factories and cars in the sky, and papers thrown on the street. Hungry. Hungry is an adjective. We use it when showing or feeling the need for food. Veterinary clinic. A veterinary clinic is a clinic for domestic or farm animals. We take animals to a veterinary clinic for treatments about diseases or illnesses. Now that we've seen our words to remember, let's have a look at some structures to remember. A short walk on the mountain. Before mountain, we used an article. We used the. We use the article when we are referring to something specific. Amber is talking about the mountain in her countryside. We often walk for an hour. A and an are articles. We use an before vowels and words that sound like vowels. Here, H is not a vowel, but the word hour sounds like a vowel, so we use an. We become hungry after the walk. The word after can be used in many different ways. When after is followed by a noun, it is being used like a preposition. It is showing us what happens in the time following another action or time. Here, it is showing us that following the walk, Amber and her family become hungry. I always take a bus at about 8 o'clock. Always is a frequency adverb. A frequency adverb is a word that tells us about how often we do something. Here, we can see that Amber always takes the bus. This means she takes the bus all the time or every time. Now we have completed everything about our story, Love of Nature, about Amber and her family. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Hello everyone! Welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is A Day at the Beach. Anna visited Aunt Betty at her house at the beach. It was a beautiful summer day. Anna built a giant sandcastle in the morning. Aunt Betty took pictures of the castle and sent them to Anna's parents. It was a great big sandcastle. Later that morning, Anna and Aunt Betty went swimming in the ocean. It was fun to jump with the waves. They brought some sandwiches with them. They ate sandwiches at the beach. Later, Aunt Betty started to read a book. Anna found some friends and played with them. The weather was really hot, and Anna didn't have a hat. She wanted to buy a hat from a little shop near the beach. She tried on some hats. The pink one was really pretty, but it was too big for Anna. The green was too fancy, and Anna didn't like it at all. The blue one wasn't bad, but it had an ugly bird on it. Then Anna saw a big red hat with a blue ribbon on it. She really loved this hat. It was a perfect hat for the beach. Aunt Betty bought the hat for Anna. It wasn't that expensive. Then they went back to the beach. Aunt Betty continued to read her book, and Anna played with her friends. That was our story, A Day at the Beach, about Anna and Aunt Betty. Now, let's look at some words to remember. Aunt. An aunt is the sister of our mother or father, or the wife of our uncle. Anna's aunt's name is Betty. Sandcastles. A sandcastle is a small structure made of wet sand. People, especially children, enjoy making sandcastles on the beach. Ocean. An ocean is a large amount of water that covers the earth. There are 4 main parts of the ocean: Pacific Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Indian Ocean, and Atlantic Ocean. Oceans can be divided into seas. Fancy. Fancy is an adjective. We use it to describe something that is elaborate or very detailed. Expensive. Expensive is an adjective. Expensive means that something costs a lot of money. In the story, the hat wasn't expensive. That means it didn't cost a lot of money. We just completed our words to remember. Now, let's look at some structures to remember. Anna visited Aunt Betty at her house at the beach. This is a simple past tense sentence. When we make a simple past tense sentence, we use the past form of our verb. So, visit becomes visited. We added ed to the end of our verb. It was a great big sand castle. A and an are articles we use to show one. Here, A is showing it was one great big sand castle. Swimming in the ocean. In is a preposition of place. A preposition of place shows us where we do something. In this sentence, it shows us that Aunt Betty and Anna went swimming in the ocean. The pink one was really pretty. In this sentence, we have the article before pink. The is an article we use when we are speaking about something specific. The story told us about hats. This sentence is about the pink hat specifically, so we use the. It was a perfect hat for the beach. The past form of the be verb is was, were. In this sentence, because we used the subject it, our be verb became was. Now we have completed everything about our story, A Day at the Beach, about Anna and her Aunt Betty. I will see you in the next lesson. Till then, bye-bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together, and then we look at important English words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Statue of Hachiko. There is a bronze statue of a dog in front of a train station in Tokyo. It is not a big statue, but it is not difficult to find. It is a meeting point for people. You can see crowds around the statue even today. The name of this statue is Hachiko. Hachiko is an Akita dog, and he was born in 1923. His owner, Professor Ueno, worked in a university. He and Hachiko were friends from the beginning. Hachiko walked with Professor every day, and he left Professor at the train station. Hachiko always waited for his owner. Then they met and walked home together. Sadly, one day Professor died at the university, and he couldn't come back to the station. But Hachiko continued to wait at the station every evening. Sometimes he stayed there for days. People at the station started to recognize Hachiko. An artist made his statue in 1934. Hachiko was alive at that time. But in 1935, he died at the station. We just read our story, Hachiko, about Hachiko the dog and his statue. Now, let's look at some words to remember. Bronze. Bronze is a type of metal. It has an orange-brown color and contains copper. Statue. A statue is a type of sculpture of a human or animal. Statues usually look realistic or lifelike. Crowd. A crowd is a large number of people gathered together. Professor. A professor is a title given to people who have the highest academic qualification. Recognize. Recognize is a verb. It means to identify something or someone that you have seen before. Now we have read our words to remember. Let's have a look at structures to remember. Hachiko walked with Professor. This is a simple past tense sentence. The verb walk has an ed ending to show that this is past tense. He left Professor at the train station. At is a preposition of place. It shows us where Hachiko left Professor. He couldn't come back to the station. Couldn't is the shortened version of could not. When we want to shorten could and not, we combine the two words, remove O, and add an apostrophe between N and T. An artist made his statue in 1934. This is a simple past tense sentence. In this sentence, our verb is make, and the past form of make is made. This shows us that not all words just add ed ending in the past tense. We have now completed our story, Statue of Hachiko, about Hachiko and Professor Uyeno. I will see you in the next lesson. Till then, bye-bye. Hello everyone. Welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is I Save Lives. My name is David. I'm 31 years old. I'm a lifeguard and I really love my job. I know that I have an important job. I'm keeping people safe. I even saved some lives. One of them was a little child. She was drowning in the ocean. I saved her. Her family didn't even notice. I have to be careful at work. I also protect people, mostly children and women, from dangerous people. It's a stressful job, but I feel really proud. I work from Tuesday to Saturday from 9 to 5, and I rest 2 Sundays a month. Sometimes I work from 9 to midnight because I have to be sure that everything is under control. My family and my friends think I should quit and find a less stressful job. But I don't think I can be happy with another job. Children see me as a hero, and their families trust me. This feeling makes me the happiest person on earth. I would never leave my job, but I wouldn't say no to a better salary. That is the story I Saved Lives about David. Now, let's have a look at some words to remember. Lifeguard. A lifeguard is an expert swimmer who makes sure people are being safe at the beach or at a pool. Lifeguards also have to save people who are struggling in the water. Drowning. Drowning is when someone goes underneath the water and struggles to come up. They cannot breathe and their lungs start to fill with water. Notice. Notice means to observe or pay attention to something. Midnight. Midnight is another way to say 12 o'clock at night. Stressful. Stressful is an adjective. When something is stressful, that means it causes emotional or mental stress. Salary. A salary is the money an employee gets from an employer for doing a job. A salary is usually paid monthly. Now that we've looked at words to remember, let's have a look at some structures to remember. I'm keeping people safe. This is a present continuous sentence. We can use present continuous in different ways. In this sentence, we use the present continuous to say that we are in the process of doing a longer action which is in progress. However, we might not be doing it at this exact second. So, David isn't keeping people safe right at this moment, but he is doing so in the progress of his job. I also protect people, mostly children and women, from dangerous people. When we use the verb protect, we add from or against in the sentence too. We use protect from when there is a direct object or person, like dangerous people. We use protect against when there is not a direct object or person, like disease or water. I work from Tuesday to Saturday, from 9 to 5. In English, we have the from to sentence structure. These two words together help complete the sentence. From and to show the time frame for the days and hours that David works. Sometimes I work from 9 to midnight. Sometimes is a frequency adverb. Frequency adverbs show us how often an action occurs. So here, David can work from 9 to midnight sometimes. We have now completed our story, I Save Lives, about David. The lesson is complete. Until I see you in the next lesson, bye-bye. Hello everyone. Welcome to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Carla's Life. This is Carla. She's 13. She's got curly brown hair and brown eyes. She gets up at 7 o'clock in the morning, has a shower, gets dressed, and has breakfast. She usually eats a piece of toast and drinks orange juice. Then she goes to school by bus. She has lunch at school with her friends. They sometimes have hamburgers and milkshakes. After the lessons, they play in the park. They also like flying a kite. Carla goes home at 5 p.m. She has dinner with her family. Her mother is a really good cook. She does homework and watches TV with her family. She goes to bed at 10 p.m. She lives in a big city. Her house is far from school, but there are lots of shops and supermarkets on her street. There is even a big swimming pool in the neighborhood. There is a small cafe behind her house. She goes there at the weekends with her family. There is also a market on the street. The family goes there for shopping. She goes swimming with her friends. She also loves playing table tennis with her father. But she hates playing basketball because she is very short. In the summer, Carla wants to go camping with her grandfather. Her grandfather is a fisherman, and he loves camping with his grandchild. Carla has an enjoyable life. She loves her family, friends, and her life in the city. We just read the story Carla's Life about Carla. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. Toast. Toast is a slice of bread that has been in heat, like in an oven or a toaster. After being in the heat, the bread turns a brown color and becomes toast. City. A city is a bigger version of a town. London, Ankara, New York, and Nairobi are examples of cities. Cafe. A cafe is a small type of restaurant. Cafes sell light meals and drinks. Camping. Camping is an activity where people live inside a tent. People generally like to go camping in nature for a holiday. Fisherman. A fisherman is someone who catches fish for money or as a hobby. Now we've completed words to remember. Let's have a look at some structures to remember. She's got curly brown hair and brown eyes. She's got is the short version of she has got. We use has got to show ownership or possession. She usually eats a piece of toast and drinks orange juice. Toast is an uncountable noun. To make it countable, we add a piece of, which shows us that Carla eats just one slice of bread. If we wanted to show that she eats more than one, we could say 2 pieces of toast. Her house is far from school. In this sentence, we add from to show what Carla's house is far in comparison to. Her house is far in comparison to the school. So, Carla's house and the school are not close to each other, they are far apart. There is even a big swimming pool in the neighborhood. In this sentence, even is showing emphasis. The emphasis shows us that Carla's neighborhood has shops, supermarkets, and also a pool. The emphasis shows us that the neighborhood has good options. Carla has an enjoyable life. Enjoyable is an adjective, and we use it to describe something that we like, find pleasant, or enjoy. Remember, before enjoyable, we use an article to show singular one life, and an because enjoyable has a vowel sound. We have completed our story for today, Carla's life about Carla. The lesson is now complete, and until the next time, bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Martin the Teacher. This is Martin. He is a teacher. He is old and a little fat. He wears spectacles. He works at an elementary school. He teaches French. He knows French because his mother is from France. Every day he gets up at 6:30 in the morning. He takes a shower and puts on a shirt and tie. Then he eats breakfast at 7 o'clock. He prefers a boiled egg and some fresh vegetables. He drinks a cup of coffee. At 7:15, he rides his motorcycle to school. Martin starts work at 8 o'clock. He sees students' parents first and informs them about their children's status. He starts teaching at 9 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, he has lunch. He brings his lunch from home. He eats a sandwich and drinks orange juice. He goes back to work at 1 o'clock. He has 4 different classrooms. He goes home at 5 o'clock. He rests for a while and eats his dinner. Then he prepares for tomorrow's classes and reads students' homework and exams. He is a really good and disciplined teacher, but he is a hard grader. So lazy students don't really like him. He doesn't have a wife or a child. This is why he really cares for his students and sees them as his own family. We just read the story Martin the Teacher about Martin. Let's have a look at some words to remember. Spectacles. Spectacles are a pair of lenses we wear over our eyes to help us see better. We can also call spectacles glasses. Tie. A tie is a piece of material that is worn around the neck collar. People wear ties when they want to look formal. Boiled. Boiled is an adjective. It describes something cooked in boiling water. Status. Status is a noun and has many different meanings in English. In the story, status means the current situation or progress of Martin's students. Disciplined. Disciplined is an adjective. It describes showing a controlled form of behavior or way of working. Now that we've completed some words to remember, let's have a look at some structures to remember. He is a teacher. This sentence shows our basic sentence structure of noun plus is plus noun. He and teacher are our nouns, and we add the article a before teacher to show one teacher. At 12 o'clock, he has lunch. Before speaking about a specific time, like 9 a.m. or 12 midday, we use the preposition at. He goes back to work. The verb go back to is the same as return to. In English, when we use the verb go back, it is always used with to, which helps show what a person is returning to. Here, Martin returns to or goes back to work. He has 4 different classrooms. Has is the version of have we use for she, he, it subjects. Have shows possession or ownership. This is why he really cares for his students. Really is an adverb. We use really to emphasize a statement or opinion. Here, really puts emphasis on Martin's care for his students. We have now completed everything to do with our story, Martin the Teacher, about Martin. See you in the next lesson. Hello everyone. Welcome to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English words and structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Cartoons aren't always good for our children. I took my daughter to the movie theater last year. She was 6 years old. The movie was Bambi. I'm a movie lover, so I thought Bambi was a good choice. Everything was going just fine, but Bambi's mother was shot and killed. At that time, my daughter felt really sad and wanted to go home. Fortunately, later movies were okay, and she loves watching movies just like I do. But my point is, are cartoons really safe for kids? Or do parents need to pay more attention? There are some cartoons that don't spread good behavior. Characters can act wrongly, or they can hurt each other very easily. Once, I sat on the sofa and watched a cartoon with my 8-year-old son. But I was shocked because one cartoon character was beating the other one. It was just like an action adult movie. So, I really wonder, are all cartoons always suitable for our children? I don't really think so. I advise every parent to be careful. Otherwise, you might expose your child to undesirable messages in some cartoons. We just read our story, Are All Cartoons Good for Our Children? Let's have a look at some words to remember. Movie theater. A movie theater is a public place where movies are shown for entertainment. A movie theater can also be called a cinema. Movie lover. Movie lover is a word we use to describe someone who loves movies. It is an adjective. Cartoons. A cartoon is a type of animation technique that we use for movies and television shows instead of using real people, animals, or objects. Character. A character is the person in a movie, cartoon, film, or play. Undesirable. Undesirable means not wanted or not desirable because harmful. Now that we've looked at some words to remember, let's look at some structures to remember. I took my daughter to the movie theater last year. This is a simple past tense sentence, which shows an action that occurred and was completed in the past. In this sentence, the past is last year. Everything was going just fine. This is an example of a past continuous sentence. Past continuous tense is used to show an action continued for a period of time in the past. Do parents need to pay more attention? At the start of the sentence, we have do, which shows us that it is a question. Adding do to the beginning of the sentence makes it a question sentence. So, I really wonder. Really is a word we use to show emphasis. Here, it is showing emphasis on wonder. Are all cartoons always suitable for our children? Always is a frequency adverb that shows how often something happens. Here, the question is if cartoons are suitable always, as in all the time. We have now completed our story, Cartoons Aren't Always Good for Our Children. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English words and structure. Let's begin. Today's story is The Dewey Family. The Dewey family lives in a big town next to the sea. Mr. Dewey is a teacher. He teaches English in a big school. He can speak some other languages as well. He knows Spanish, French, and German. He sometimes works as a translator too. But he loves being a teacher because he cares about children a lot. The house is full of students' letters and paintings for Mr. Dewey. Mrs. Dewey is a tailor. She has a small shop in town. She makes dresses, skirts, bags, trousers, and shirts for women. Later, she sells them in her little shop. Mr. and Mrs. Dewey have 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy is 8 years old, and he goes to Mr. Dewey's school. But Mr. Dewey isn't his son's English teacher. Unlike his father, the boy doesn't like reading books or keeping a diary. He loves sports. He always plays football with his friends after school. He wants to be a football player in the future. His sister is 5 years old. She doesn't go to school yet, but she can write simple things like her and her family's names. She loves helping her mother with sewing. She sews clothes for her dolls near her mother. She wants to be a writer and a tailor like her mother. We just read our story, The Dewey Family, about Mr. and Mrs. Dewey and their 2 children. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. Translator. A translator is a person who translates from one language to another as a profession. Tailor. A tailor is a person whose job is making clothes such as suits, trousers, and jackets. Diary. A diary is a book that someone keeps a daily record of events and experiences in. Sewing. Sewing is the noun of sew, which means to join materials together with a needle and thread. Doll. A doll is a small model figure of a human that children play with. We just finished our words to remember. Now let's look at structures to remember. Mr. Dewey is a teacher. This is an example of our basic noun plus is plus noun structure. Mr. Dewey and teacher are the two nouns in this sentence. He can speak some other languages as well. Can is one of the most popular modal verbs in English. In English, we use modal verbs to show ability or if something is certain, possible, or impossible. Here, the modal can is showing us that Mr. Dewey has the ability to speak other languages. He sometimes works as a translator too. Sometimes is a frequency adverb. Frequency adverbs show us how often an action is done. Mr. Dewey sometimes works as a translator. That means he works as a translator occasionally or from time to time. She doesn't go to school yet. Yet is an adverb. It shows us a situation currently. Another way to say yet is so far. So, she doesn't go to school so far. We just completed our story, The Dewey Family, about Mr. and Mrs. Dewey and their two children. See you in the next lesson. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lessons. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is I am a book lover. I always go grocery shopping with my mother. My favorite store is right next door to the grocery store. It is a bookstore, and its name is Don Quixote Bookstore. I am a real book lover. I go straight to the bookstore and my mother goes to the grocery store. I have nearly half an hour in the bookstore. My mom buys groceries and I search for books. There are all kinds of books for children, but my favorite is comic books. I have read every Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Wonder Woman comic book. Now, I have started to search for new kinds of books. The salesman and I even became friends. He is older than me, but he loves comic books like I do. He suggests some new series. But today, I am planning to start a different kind of book. My teacher at school asked us to read one of the classics. I chose Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. The book might be too much for my age, but I found a comic book version of it. It's more expensive than the original version, but my mother supports my interest. So, I believe she will buy the book for me. I am really excited for this new adventure. I hope to continue with classics for a while, if I can find their comic book versions. We just read our story, I am a book lover. Now, let's look at some words to remember. Book lover. A book lover is someone who loves books and enjoys reading. Comic books. A comic book is a type of magazine with comic strips. Comic books are usually about stories with superheroes. Salesman. A salesman is someone who sells or promotes a particular product in a store. Series. A series is a set of books or magazines all under a similar name and format. Adventure. Adventure is a noun. Adventure means an unusual or exciting experience. Now that we've had a look at some words to remember, let's have a look at some structures to remember. I always go grocery shopping with my mother. This is an example of a simple present tense sentence. We use simple present tense to speak about scientific facts, general truths, routines, and habits. In this sentence, we can see both routine and habit. I have nearly half an hour in the bookstore. Nearly is an adverb. We use it in a sentence to show that something is very close to or almost there. In the story, our book lover has almost or close to half an hour in the bookstore. I have read every Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Wonder Woman comic book. Have plus a verb in third form or past participle form makes present perfect tense. Present perfect is what we use to show a past activity that affects the present. I found a comic book version of it. This is an example of a simple past sentence. In simple past tense, not all verbs add an ed ending. Some are different, like find, which becomes found. Now we have completed everything about our story, I Am a Book Lover. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is My School. My name is Jim. I go to Jefferson Secondary School. I love my school. It looks a bit old, but it's cool and has got character. The teachers are compassionate and understanding. We have lots of activities, so we never get bored. There are many interesting places to go. There is a gymnasium and a big green playground. Some pupils like going there after classes to play football. There is also a big library with lots of books. There are not just books, but also a television, 3 computers, and some magazines too. But this place is really dusty. Then there are the classrooms. They are many. I didn't try to count them. Classrooms are cozy and comfortable. The school also has laboratories. There is a laboratory of biology, chemistry, and physics. There is only one computer room with 15 computers. Pupils can go there and do their projects and assignments. There is also a music room with lots of instruments. This is my favorite place because I love playing the drums in here. There is also a little video room in the school. We sometimes watch documentaries and educational videos here. Now that we've read the story, My School, let's have a look at some important words to remember. Secondary school. Secondary school is a place where students get secondary education after primary or elementary school. Secondary school can also be called high school. Pupil. Pupil is another word for student or learner. Compassionate. Compassionate is an adjective. If a person is compassionate, it means they show empathy and concern for others. Gymnasium. Gymnasium is the full version of the word gym. A gymnasium is a room or a building designed for gymnastics, games, and physical exercise. Laboratory. A laboratory is a room or building that is designed for scientific experiments, research, or teaching. Now that we've completed some words to remember, let's have a look at some structures to remember. I love my school. It looks a bit old, but it's cool and has got character. We use has got to show ownership or possession. In this sentence, Jim is showing us that the school possesses or has character. Because we are speaking about one school and it is singular, we use has. For plural, we use have. But this place is really dusty. Really is an adverb. We use it to emphasize. In this sentence, Jim is emphasizing that the school is dusty. Another way to show this emphasis is to use very, as in, this place is very dusty. There is only one computer room with 15 computers. Pupils can go there and do their projects and assignments. There is also an adverb. It shows us place or location. We can use there in this sentence because in the previous sentence it is clear where Jim is referring to, the computer room. We sometimes watch documentaries and educational videos there. Sometimes is a frequency adverb. Frequency adverbs show us how often an action is done. In this sentence, we understand that Jim and his classmates watch documentaries and educational videos in the video room sometimes. Sometimes is the same as occasionally and every now and then. We have now completed everything about the story My School, about Jim and his school, Jefferson Secondary School. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary, and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together, and then we look at important words and English structure. Let's begin. Today's story is The Moon's Dogs. Mr. and Mrs. Moon live in a small village near New York. They don't have any children, but they've got 2 dogs. Their names are Jupiter and Mars. The dogs eat meat, biscuits, and special dog food. Mr. Moon buys their food in New York because the shops in their village don't sell dog food. The Moons have got neighbors too, but they don't like Jupiter and Mars because they've got a cat. The postman doesn't like the dogs either. Jupiter is a calm dog. He doesn't hurt anyone. He always listens to Mr. and Mrs. Moon. But Mars is an angry dog. Mr. Moon found him on a street all alone. He was cold and hungry. Mr. Moon tried really hard to gain Mars's trust. Mars really loves his owners, but he doesn't trust anyone else. This is why he always gets protective around strangers. But he hasn't hurt anyone yet. They go for a walk with Mrs. Moon in the mornings. Mr. Moon goes to New York every day because he works there. He leaves home really early. He comes home at 6. The dogs always wait for him. They stand near the door and bark. They are happy because they go for a long walk at 10 in the evening with Mr. Moon. We just read the story The Moon's Dogs about Mr. and Mrs. Moon and their dogs Jupiter and Mars. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. Neighbor. A neighbor is someone who lives next door or very close to you. So, the Moon's neighbors live next door or very close to them. Jupiter and Mars. Jupiter and Mars are actually the names of 2 planets in our solar system. Mr. and Mrs. Moon named their dogs after planets. Postman. A postman is someone whose job it is to deliver and collect letters and packages. Protective. Protective is an adjective, and it describes wanting to protect someone or something. In this story, Mars is protective of his owners, Mr. and Mrs. Moon. Now that we've looked at some words to remember, the next step is to look at some structures to remember. Let's begin. Mr. and Mrs. Moon live in a small village near New York. When we have 2 individuals connected by and, those 2 become a collective and use the verb's plural form. So, Mr. and Mrs. Moon is the same as using they. They don't have any children, but they've got 2 dogs. They've is the contracted or shortened version of they have. We contract they've by removing HA of have and connecting VE with an apostrophe to they. Their names are Jupiter and Mars. There is a possessive adjective. This shows us that the names belong to the dogs. He was cold and hungry. This sentence is an example of a simple past tense sentence and the subject plus be verb plus adjective structure. The be verb in the past tense becomes was, were. Now we have completed everything about the story The Moons' Dogs, about Mr. and Mrs. Moon and their dogs Mars and Jupiter. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English words and structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Girls' Night Music Band. Carmen Parsons, Deborah Fisherman, Eva Wood, and Frances White work in London. Carmen is a lawyer. She is 29 years old. She plays the piano. Deborah is a housewife. She is 31 years old. She has twins, a boy and a girl. She plays the violin. Eva is a PhD student. She is 28 years old. She studies sociology. She plays the saxophone. Frances is a music teacher in a high school. She is 33 years old. She plays the guitar. But tonight, they are in Bristol all together. They are playing at the Crow. Who are they? They are the new band Girls' Night. They found each other on the internet a year ago. Since then, they make music together. From Monday to Friday, they work in London. At the weekend, they sing in pubs and discos. They've got 2 jobs and they work very hard. Deborah Fisherman says, "It isn't easy. I'm very busy. I have 2 7-year-old children. But I have a really supportive husband and a helpful big family. Music is my 3rd child. I have to look after it too." Girls' Night are playing at the Crow, Lower Harrington Street at 9 p.m. Tickets are £10. We just read the story about the Girls' Night Music Band. Now, let's have a look at some words to remember. Music band. A music band is a group of people who come together to create, play, and perform music. Housewife. A housewife is a married woman who does housework, cares for her family, and manages household affairs as her main occupation. PhD student. PhD is the abbreviation for Doctor of Philosophy. A PhD student is someone who is studying for a doctorate in philosophy. A PhD is a type of degree after undergraduate and master's degrees. Pub. A pub is a place that sells beers, other drinks, and sometimes food. There are often live music band performances in pubs. Supportive. Supportive is an adjective. We use supportive to describe someone who provides encouragement and emotional support. Now that we've looked at some important words to remember, let's look at some structures to remember. She is 29 years old. When we use the be verb, am is are sentence structure with adjectives, it is also possible to use age or age-related words in the same subject plus be verb plus adjective structure. In this sentence, as the adjective, we use the number 29. She plays the violin. The is an article. One way that we use the is to show that we are speaking about something specific or unique. In this sentence, we are learning that Deborah plays an instrument, specifically the violin. They found each other on the internet a year ago. On is a preposition of location. It shows us where the musicians met. In this story, they met on the internet. Deborah Fisherman says, "It isn't easy." Isn't is the contracted or shortened version of is not. We can contract is not and are not by removing the O from not and combining the words. So, is not becomes isn't and are not becomes aren't. We've just completed everything about the story Girls' Night Music Band, about the band called Girls' Night. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English words and structure. Let's begin. Today's story is San Francisco. San Francisco is in the state of California in the west of the United States. It is near the Pacific Ocean. People think it is the capital of California, but it isn't. First, people from Spain lived there. Today, Austrians, Italians, Chinese, and others live in the city with Americans. The Chinese live in Chinatown. There are many Chinese restaurants there. The houses, post boxes, and telephones in the streets are very interesting. This part of the town is exactly like China. San Francisco is home to a little bit of everything. You can explore lots of things in this city. For instance, Fisherman's Wharf is a place where tourists want to go. You can find a table in a nice little restaurant near the sea there. you can eat seafood and look at the Golden Gate Bridge. You can watch the ships passing under it and the cars crossing it. The Golden Gate Bridge is the symbol of San Francisco. You can also visit Alcatraz. Alcatraz was a prison and now it is a national park. It is one of the city's most popular places. San Francisco is different from other American cities. It is more European. The sun always shines there, and there are lots of things you can do at night. You can go to the nightclubs, discos, restaurants, cinemas, and theaters. That's why a lot of young people want to live in San Francisco. Now that we've read our story, San Francisco, let's have a look at some words to remember. State. The word state has many meanings and uses, but in the story, the word state means a territory that is politically organized and falls under one main government. Another word for state is province. Capital of California. A capital city is a city where the major administration and political activities for the region take place. In the story, it says that San Francisco is not the capital of California. The capital of California is Sacramento. Postbox. A postbox is a large public box where people can put their mail and packages inside, and the post office will collect it to be delivered to the right place. Explore. Explore is a verb. It means to travel through an unknown area in order to discover it. Prison. A prison is a building where people who have committed crimes go to stay for a period of time as a punishment. Those are our words to remember. Now let's look at some structures to remember. San Francisco is in the state of California in the west of the United States. In is a preposition of location. It shows us where San Francisco is in California in the United States. The Chinese live in Chinatown. The Chinese is the same as saying the Chinese people or the same as saying they. That is why we use live without an S ending, because the Chinese is plural. Fisherman's Wharf is a place where tourists want to go. You can find a table in a nice little restaurant near the sea there. Fisherman's Wharf is the name of the place mentioned in the first sentence. Because we already mentioned our subject, in the second sentence, we can use there instead of the full name, Fisherman's Wharf. It is still clear which place the sentence refers to. Alcatraz was a prison, and now it is a national park. It is possible to use more than one tense in a sentence. In this sentence, we can see that to show the change of Alcatraz, we use was, simple past tense, for the past, and is, simple present tense, for the current situation. And there you have it. We have completed our story, San Francisco. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. and welcome to our English reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English words and structure. Let's begin. Today's story is A Good Trick. Mike loves third grade. He has the best time every day in Miss Wednesday's class. He loves reading great stories from their reading books. He doesn't really like working in their workbooks. That is not as enjoyable as reading stories. But Mike really hated a math topic: multiplication facts. Mike hated spending time with multiplication facts all the time. They learned multiplication facts at school. His parents repeated them at home. He did homework about multiplication facts. So Mike found it too much. And still, he didn't learn it at all. Because this wasn't fun for him. But one day, Miss Wednesday came into the classroom with a tape recorder, a microphone, and a headset. Everyone had to record the multiplication facts. Mike really liked this method because he was holding the microphone for every student. Miss Wednesday said, "You will have an exam tomorrow. If you all have good grades, we will use voice recording in our other lessons too." Mike loved that idea, and he studied for the multiplication facts exam. Finally, he got an A+ for the exam, and of course, he learned everything about multiplication facts. Obviously, Miss Wednesday's method did work. We just read the story A Good Trick about Mike in the third grade. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. Workbook. A workbook is a student's book that has information and exercises about specific topics like math or history. Multiplication. The word multiplication is a noun, and it is a type of math operation like addition or subtraction. Repeat. In this story, repeat is used as a verb. Repeat means to say or do something again or more than once. Homework. Homework is work that students have to do after lessons at home. Method. Method is a noun. Method means a type of approach or procedure. In the story, we read about Miss Wednesday's approach or procedure to teaching multiplication facts. We just looked at some words to remember. Now, let's look at some structures to remember. That is not as enjoyable as reading stories. Not as is a grammar structure we use to compare things that aren't equal. Here, working in workbooks is less enjoyable than reading stories. They learned multiplication facts at school. At is a preposition of location. At shows us where the activity happened. In the story, they learned at school. So, Mike found it too much. Too is an adverb. It shows us that something more than we prefer or like happened. Obviously, Miss Wednesday's method did work. When we add an apostrophe and an S to the end of a name, it shows possession. Here, it is showing us that the method belongs to Miss Wednesday. Now we have completed everything about the story A Good Trick, about Mike in the 3rd grade in Miss Wednesday's class. I will see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English words and structures. Let's begin. Today's story is The Town I Live In. My name is Ingrid, and I live in Hilltown. Hilltown is in the south of London. It isn't a very big town. Nearly 9,000 people live here. There are about 30 shops, and there are only 3 supermarkets. But you can buy everything you want in the town. There are 2 banks and a post office on the main street. There is also a police station and a national library. I love to go there. You can find a big market near the library. It has fresh fruit, vegetables, meat, and dairy products. I like going to the market with my mom. There is a big church in the center of the town. There is also a huge park. The park also has a playground for children. There are some good restaurants in our town. One of them is a Chinese restaurant. It has delicious food, but also it is really cheap. We love to go there as a family. There are 6 cafes. My favorite one is British Cafe. It has delicious cakes and cookies. My favorite place is next to the park. It is an ice cream shop. There are 3 elementary schools and 2 high schools in Hilltown. One of the elementary schools is private. Next to this private school, there is a big sports center. My big brother and my father go there. We have a cinema and a museum, but unfortunately, there isn't a theater here. I really like living in Hilltown because people are kind and charitable. We just read the story The Town I Live In about Ingrid, who lives in Hilltown. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. National Library. A library is a building that has lots of books, newspapers, and articles that people can borrow and use. A national library is a library that the government helps pay for. Church. A church is a building used by Christians to pray. Cafe. A cafe is a restaurant that sells light meals and drinks. Museum. A museum is a building in which we keep historical, scientific, and cultural objects. Charitable. Charitable is an adjective. It means to be a person who is generous and helpful to people in need. Now that we've completed our words to remember, let's have a look at some structures to remember. Nearly 9,000 people live here. Nearly is an adverb. It means almost or very close to. So, there are almost or very close to 9,000 people in Hilltown. You can find a big market near the library. It has fresh fruit, vegetables, meat, and dairy products. If we have two sentences about the same subject, we do not have to repeat the subject again. We can use personal pronouns. In this sentence, the personal pronoun for market is it. One of them is a Chinese restaurant. It has delicious food. When making sentences using he, she, it, and other similar subjects, we add an S to the end of our verb. For the verb have, we cannot just add an S and say haves. We change the verb to has. There are 6 cafes. In English, we use there is or there are to talk about things we can see and that exist. We use there is for singular and uncountable nouns, and we use there are for plural and countable nouns. In this sentence, because cafes are countable, we use there are. It is an ice cream shop. A and an are articles. We use an before words that start with a vowel letter or words that make a vowel sound. We have now completed the story The Town I Live In about Ingrid and her town, Hilltown. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English words and structure. Let's begin. Today's story is Adam the dog. Adam lived in a great neighborhood. He had many friends there. Adam woke up one morning and took a long stretch. He had a good night's sleep, so he felt very rested. First, he walked in the kitchen and ate a good breakfast. He waited at the door for someone to open it. He had things to do. Adam's human friend, Diana, opened the door for him. Adam walked outside and looked around. Then he went to check on his friend, Apple the cat. Apple was still sleeping. Then Adam walked across the yard and visited the mother bird and her babies. They looked fine and healthy. They were eating some worms for breakfast. They didn't even say hello to Adam because they were really busy with their food. Then Adam went to visit his girlfriend, Candy. Candy was awake and waiting for Adam. She was glad to see her boyfriend. Adam and Candy played and played. Apple the cat joined them and they visited their other friends in the neighborhood. Adam had to go home because his human friend would worry about him. He played with Diana, the human friend, and then took a nap. We just read the story Adam the dog about Adam. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. A good night's sleep. A good night's sleep is a very popular English expression. It means to get enough sleep and rest well. Check on. Check on is a verb. It means to make sure that someone or something is safe or to see what they are doing. Healthy. Healthy is an adjective. If someone or something is healthy, it means they are in a good physical or mental condition. Worms. Worms are tiny animals with long, slender, soft bodies and no limbs. They live in the soil. Worry. Worry is a verb. It means to feel or cause anxiety or stress about problems or potential problems. Those are some words to remember. Now, let's look at some structures to remember. First, he walked in the kitchen and ate a good breakfast. This is an example of a simple past tense sentence. While some verbs in the past tense only add ed, like walked, some change completely, like eat, which becomes ate. They were eating some worms for breakfast. Were eating is an example of a past continuous tense sentence. Past continuous tense is used to show actions that happened in the past for a repeated period of time. In other words, they continuously ate worms. They didn't eat only once. They visited their other friends in the neighborhood. In this sentence, in is a preposition of location, showing us where the other friends were. They were in the neighborhood. Adam had to go home. Had to is a modal verb, and it shows us an obligation or that something is compulsory. Now we have completed everything about the story Adam the Dog, about Adam. I will see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone and welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English structures and words. Let's begin. Today's story is The Noisy Neighbor. I couldn't take it anymore. My upstairs neighbor was blasting her stereo again. I asked her twice to turn the volume down, and I was really polite. The first time, she was surprised, and she said she would keep the volume down. I really hoped that she was telling the truth. The very next day, she blasted her stereo again. It was like a nightmare. I was really tired, and I hoped for a nice nap after a long day at work. So, I marched upstairs and reminded her about the previous day. She said the volume was so low. So this time, I had to ask her to turn it down lower. She said okay. But when I entered my apartment, the music was even louder. I was in front of her door again. I knocked, and knocked. I didn't move away from the door, so she had to open. When she opened the door, I screamed just like a crazy person. I continued to scream for a while. She was in shock. Then I didn't say anything and went back home. This was the last time. She never opened her stereo again. This was the weirdest moment of my life. I had no idea about what I did. I just did it and it worked. Obviously, sometimes you have to do weird stuff in order to get things done. We just read the story, The Noisy Neighbor, about the noisy upstairs neighbor. Now, let's have a look at some words to remember. Blast. Blast is a verb. It means to be loud or make a loud noise. Polite. Polite means to behave in a respectful and considerate way to other people. Nightmare. A nightmare is a scary or frightening dream. In English, we often use nightmare to describe very negative experiences. Scream. To scream is to shout very loudly, especially when angry or in distress. Weird. Weird is an adjective. We use weird to describe something very strange or bizarre. Those were some of our words to remember. Now, let's have a look at some structures to remember. The first time, she was surprised. This is an example of a simple past tense sentence. To make the verb surprise past tense, we add ed to the end and it becomes surprised. I really hoped that she was telling the truth. Really is an adverb, and we use it to emphasize a sentence or opinion. It was like a nightmare. Like is a preposition. It shows us that two things have similar characteristics or qualities. In this story, the upstairs neighbor's noise was similar to a nightmare. I was in front of her door again. In front of is a preposition of location, showing us where something took place. This was the weirdest moment of my life. In this sentence, the adjective weird is being used in its superlative form. Superlatives show us the highest degree of a quality. We have now completed everything about the story, The Noisy Neighbor, about the noisy upstairs neighbor. I will see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English structures and words. Let's begin. Today's story is Monkeys. Monkeys are interesting animals. They have got hair on their bodies and they have got tails. Their faces are similar to human faces. They are generally vegetarian, so they like fruits and vegetables. They like bananas very much, but they can eat insects too. They can use stones and peel fruits. Many monkey species live in trees, but some species live on the ground. There are many different kinds of monkeys. They are really intelligent animals. Scientists can teach them human language and they can understand it, but they can't speak it. They are social too. They have got tribes. They live in the rainforest and they sleep on the trees. They work together to steal food from humans. Sometimes they even work with humans. Scientists use monkeys for different purposes. They even sent monkeys into space for space exploration. The first monkey in space was Albert II. He flew in a rocket in 1949. Monkeys are intelligent, social, funny, and amazing animals. We just read the story, Monkeys. Now let's look at some important words to remember. Tails. A tail is a back part of an animal that is long and can support balance. Tails can be hairy or hairless. Vegetarian. Vegetarian is the word we use for a diet that only has fruits and vegetables. Peel. In this story, peel is a verb. It means to remove the skin off of a fruit. Species. Species is a noun. Species means type or group. Space. Space is what we call the atmosphere that surrounds Earth. Those were our words to remember. Now, let's look at some structures to remember. Their faces are similar to human faces. Similar is a comparison word, and it is always used with two. It shows us that two things are alike. They like bananas very much, but they can eat insects too. To is an adverb. It means in addition to or also. They are really intelligent animals. Really is an adverb used to show emphasis. In this sentence, it shows that monkeys are genuinely or very intelligent. They can understand it, but they can't speak it. But is a conjunction. We use but to bring in an idea that is opposite to the idea already mentioned. He flew in a rocket in 1949. Flew is the past tense of fly. Flew in this sentence shows us that the sentence is a simple past tense sentence. Now we have completed everything about the story Monkeys. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English structures and words. So, let's begin. Today's story is A Cool Summer Job. Every summer, I work at a theme park in a nearby coastal town. I love summertime and working at the park, so I can't wait until the summer. The theme park is really big, with lots of fun rides and restaurants. And it is near the beach. This is a beach town, and there is a really long boardwalk by the beach with many shops, food stores, and stairs to the beach at several points. The main entrance to the park is also from the boardwalk. The park also has access to the beach, so you can get to the beach by going through the park. I work there as a ride operator. I welcome the riders, remind them about the safety procedures, and operate the ride. I work here for about 2 months every summer and enjoy it very much. They organize several fun events over the summer with free food, ice cream, and games for the workers. The park access is free for park employees. My family and friends love visiting me here because I can get them free admission into the park too. The only bad part about working here is that it gets too hot sometimes. But even then, I can just jump in the cool waters of the Atlantic Ocean and refresh. We just read the story A Cool Summer Job about working in a theme park. Now let's look at some words to remember. Coastal town. Coastal towns are towns located near or with good access to the coastlines of seas or oceans. Theme park. A theme park is an entertainment park with many activities like roller coasters and games. Rides. Rides means the journeys on roller coasters and other fun machines at a theme park. Boardwalk. A boardwalk is a long wooden path along a beach or waterfront. Refresh. Refresh is a verb. It means to get new energy or strength. Those were some of our words to remember. Now let's look at some structures to remember. Every summer, I work at a theme park. This is an example of a simple present tense sentence. A hint that it is a simple present tense sentence is the every before summer. That shows us that it is something routine or regular. The park also has access to the beach. Also is an adverb. It has the same meaning as to. I work there as a ride operator. There is a way to show location without repeating the full location name. It gets too hot sometimes. Too in this sentence is negative. It is showing that something is more than wanted or excessive. That is everything to do with the story A Cool Summer Job about working in a theme park. I will see you in the next lesson. Until then, goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome to our reading, vocabulary and pronunciation lesson. In this lesson, we read a story together and look at important English structures and words. So, let's begin. Today's story is television. In Australia, the first television broadcast was in 1956. Back then, the pictures on a TV were black and white only. Television has changed a lot since then. Television will continue to improve in the future. On TV, you can watch many different programs about a wide variety of subjects. Some examples of TV programs are news, current affairs, sitcoms, cartoons, dramas, reality shows, sports, documentaries, and soap operas. Several TV channels can show different TV programs. In Western Australia, the main channels are ABS, 7, 9, 10, and SBS. TV guides tell us about programs. They give us information about the channel, its programs, and schedules. Most programs on television are in episodes. Episode means a part of a series. These episodes usually last for 30 minutes or a full hour. On the weekend, there are sometimes movies on TV. Watching television is an interesting and fun activity. In addition, you can learn a lot from watching TV, but you should also limit yourself with certain hours and programs. Documentaries, good movies, sports programs, and news are the best programs on TV. There are really good international TV channels too. You can also improve your second language by watching these channels. We just read the story Television about television in the world and in Australia. Now let's have a look at some words to remember. Television broadcast. A broadcast is the transmission of signals that become pictures or videos on a television. Sitcom. A sitcom, situational comedy, is a type of comedy show that uses the same characters for the whole TV series. Limit. Limit is a verb. It means to control or restrict. International. International is an adjective. It is used to describe something that exists in more than one country. Improve. Improve is a verb. It means to make something better. Those were our words to remember. Now let's have a look at some structures to remember too. Back then, the pictures on a TV were black and white only. This is a simple past tense sentence, and that is why we use were, the past tense of be. Another clue that shows us the sentence is past tense are the words back then. On TV, you can watch many different programs about a wide variety of subjects. On is a preposition of location, showing us where something happens. These episodes usually last for 30 minutes or a full hour. Usually is an adverb, showing us that generally or in most times, the episodes are between 30 minutes to an hour. Television will continue to improve in the future. This is an example of a future tense sentence. In English, we can use will or be going to make a future tense sentence. And that was our lesson about television, where we learned about television in Australia, some important words and important structures. See you next time!